Hello and welcome to another episode of Leading with Women by Egomog. Joining us today is Hena Mehta. She's the co-founder and CEO of Basis, a fintech platform made by women for women. The platform is helping women gain the ability of making informed financial choices and is empowering them by helping them connect to relevant leaders as well as communities. Hello, Hannah. It is great to have you with us. So, just to start with, you are building a product that is enabling women to make informed financial choices. Why is that necessary? Are the financial needs for women fundamentally different than those from men?
Yes, thank you for having me here. So, why is the need for financial wellness important? Well, I think this is important for everyone, regardless of gender. But how the world has shaped up over the last, several decades is that financial services has defaulted to men. Right, men had been the owners of wealth, primary income earners, etc. And so, what ended up happening is financial services became a one size fits all, which loosely translates to a one size fits men. And women ended up getting left out. Our lives, our financial lives do differ from those of men. And it's critical, it's important, it's much needed now for a platform that speaks to and is able to cater to the needs of women. So, for instance, women live longer than men. On average, we outlive our male peers by about 4 to 5 years, which means we have to plan for longer retirements. We tend to take more career breaks, either for childcare or elderly care, which means our income patterns may look different from a man's. We have higher healthcare costs over the course of our lives. We face the gender pay gap at work. We face the pink tax, which is a gender based price discrimination for personal care products. So, all of these things impact our net worth and our financial well being. And there wasn't a platform, so far at least, that was able to really cater to these needs of women, which are different and do need a different lens to really build solutions for.
And I think this is often overlooked because we see men as heads of families making these really important but collective decisions for the entire family. And that is when we see the individual needs of women being completely negated. So, as a women founder, how have these insights translated into the development of your product, which is exclusively tailored for women?
Right. So fundamentally, I believe that people build products and solutions for people like themselves. Now, it's not impossible, obviously. I mean, people around the world are building things for people very much not like them. But with financial services in particular, what's tended to happen is that there have been these massive blind spots with respect to building solutions for this segment of women. Which is why there is such a low penetration of financial services among the women segment, right? So, as a woman product owner, as a woman founder, I think we tend to view the world with a slightly different lens. We are able to catch the blind spots that have been missed in the past. We're able to build and have a lot more empathy and compassion for our user base. So I think all of this combined makes for really powerful products and solutions that have previously ignored this segment and have not really taken our needs into account. So I think building for someone like yourself is just makes the solutions more powerful and I think more relevant to the audience that you're targeting.
And definitely, empathy has to be a core concern when you're making products for consumers. So, in your case, what are the gaps that you have seen in terms of financial knowledge or decision making amongst your users? So, what are some products or some domains in which you know that they need the most support in?
So the short answer is it's across the spectrum of various money decisions, right? So in our community that we've built out over the last several months, we've seen that there are gaps in knowledge, starting with the earn side of the spectrum. So how can I negotiate for better salaries? How can I, if I'm a freelance gig worker, how can I kind of find projects that at least start giving me that source of income? So starting with with that part of the spectrum of earning, right through like figuring out how to grow your money. So how do I even start investing? I don't know, the eye of investing. I feel like investing is too risky. So there's this massive knowledge gap there as well. And with women specifically, it tends to just, do exactly what you said. It's best left to the men who seem to know what they're doing. Reality is, I mean, it's a problem across the board, but women also have kind of this social or cultural nuance that often prevents us from taking that dive. So I think questions around how do you invest for the long term? Women, we have our own financial goals. We may want to start a business. We may want to take that trip every year where we want to ensure we're well equipped during our retirement. It's across the board of financial goals. There are queries on like how do I start saving and investing to hit those goals, which will power my dreams and ambitions. And then on a couple of other parts of financial services, right? Like on the insurance front, I mean, there's such a massive knowledge gap with respect to let's take your health insurance, right? Like people don't know what they're signing up for. People don't know what it covers. Only when a crisis hits do you realize, okay, I didn't even, bother thinking about whatever. Let's say breast cancer or cervical cancer, these kind of really stressful medical situations that often leave women, under-equipped financially. So on the insurance front, there's a gap. And then finally, on access to credit, right? One big question we see is, or a big gap rather, is that women don't build their credit scores when they can in their 20s, etc. And then let's say you're looking to take a big loan in your 30s. Let's say you're trying to buy a home. It's just like, well, I didn't know I had to build a credit score, etc. Right? So what I'm trying to say is across the spectrum of like earning, saving, investing, making sure you're protecting your money with the right insurance, and then being able to complement all of this with the right knowledge on how loans and credit, etc. works, we've seen the gap across the board.
So you talked a lot about building credit scores, planning for trips, health insurance. These are all things which need to start early, right? So that has to be a very important demographic for you.
So we're currently looking at urban Indian women, both millennial and now Gen Z, that's just coming into the workforce, right? So absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. I think all of this, like building knowledge, awareness, talking about all of this with your friends. Another challenge is women just don't talk money with each other, right? Like if you see a group of men meeting up, it's just like, oh, this is what's going on in the market. So here's a stock tip and, things like that. Women don't do that. And so absolutely, it should start as early as possible. But the reality is, I mean, personal finance as a topic is not something we all learn in school or college, right? Even people who studied finance as a major or as a concentration know everything about corporate finance and company taxes and all of that. But when it comes to your own personal finance, it's just like this big question mark. So absolutely, it has to start early. However, the gap is there, even amongst the slightly, mid-career level women as well. So we're looking at top-tier metro cities and tier 1, tier 2 cities in India for women across the age ranges of about 22 to about in their late 30s. Across different life stages. So either just graduating from college, entering your first job, to maybe considering, grad school, to, other life events like marriage and children, etc. Right? So it's across those life stages, about 22 to maybe about 37, 38 is what we're looking at now.
And as you said, it actually makes us realize the importance and the power that information holds. And have you seen this trend where women, because of this lack of information, often get so blindsided that they would just agree to anything which is presented to them?
Well, what we've seen actually with women, absolutely. I mean, there is this information and knowledge gap, but what we've actually seen behaviorally is that women tend to just ask more questions, right? So we want to get into the details. We don't want to put our money into something we don't fully understand. Yes, there are chances that we maybe missold something, or, we blindly follow something from a trusted, let's say, family member or friend. But what we've loved seeing is that women like to know the details, right? And they want to make sure it's right for them. And so by providing that to them through our platform, we're able to really empower our users with the right information.
So, talking about platforms, let's talk about the fundamentals of basis.
Sure.
So, what does the competitive landscape look like for you?
So in India, it's still very nascent, right? We are one of the first movers in this space, and so financial services for women is just about building up in our country. So I wouldn't say we have any major competitors in India yet. I think it'll be great to see more. In fact, I strongly believe in having good healthy competition, because that just means the market opens up. The awareness initiative is not solely on one company or one platform. So I'm excited to see what more comes up. I mean, this is a space that just maybe 2 or 3 years ago, people would ask, is there really a need for a financial platform for women, right? And now we've seen even that thought process evolve just in even a short span of time, where it's like, okay, we know something like this is needed. There's a reason why, women are not taking charge of their money and are lacking control. And so let's figure out solutions to really solve the space. And it is a massive, massive market, and growing year on year as well.
Most definitely. I mean, and what often ends up happening is that a lot of people don't really know what they need unless a solution is right there in front of them. And I think that is a space which your platform is currently exploring, because research has shown us that in India, only 33% of women make their own financial decisions. And I think it's really necessary that more fintech apps come up trying to solve this gap in the market.
Yeah, so just one comment on that. Actually, I think you've again hit the nail on the head. We do. I mean, this is one of those things where even women who join our platform are just like, yeah, I didn't know about XYZ, but now that I'm here, this is something I'm going to stick with for life, right? So absolutely, I think there is that awareness lacking, and that's also, I think, exciting for us to build and really make a change.
I know we've already spoken about tier 2 and tier 1 cities, but then how big is the market that your platform is catering to? And considering the Indian population, who are your alpha users?
Yeah, so we're looking at sort of urban India, right? So the urban Indian woman who is either working, who has access to some kind of money, either through inheritance or freelance projects, or women business owners. This market is huge. I mean, if we just do a quick back of the envelope calculation, assuming about a third of India is sort of considered urbanized, and then a portion of that is women. We're looking at a market of about 150 million women, right? Which is huge, and like I said, that is growing year on year as women are looking for different channels to have that independence and control in their life.
Considering all constraints, what is the kind of user engagement that your platform has currently seen?
Yeah, so we actually just crossed about 55,000 app installs on our platform end of 2020. So we're really excited to have that kind of reach. It's still very early in our journey, so from here it's we're excited for the next few years as we scale up our platform, and we see healthy user activity, user engagement. I mean, it's best in class. I think healthy might be downplaying it, but we've seen massive engagement in terms of our community. So our platform has these set of communities where women get together, and like I was saying before, didn't have a place or an avenue to really talk about money. They're now doing it through Basis. So our communities are these really bite-sized, jargon-free, what we call knowledge boosters, which are these educational modules. We've had over like 53,000 of those consumed just within our app. So we're seeing a healthy engagement on both those things. And now what we're building out is a suite of financial products that we're going to be able to offer this community who's now better informed, who knows what they may need, and then we're going to be able to offer that on Basis itself.
And we've always seen communities can end up being the best teachers. We have also seen a trend where apps developed in India often aim for the global market. So, does Basis have that goal, and what are the challenges that you can foresee?
So, absolutely. We have global ambitions, and the problem we're addressing in India is not isolated to India alone. In fact, there was this report published by Oliver Wyman, which is a management consultancy firm, on the market size of financial services for women globally, and it's estimated to be a $700 billion market, right? So, financial services companies today are missing out on that much revenue annually by not catering to this segment. And there's a ton of other research that's been done on how frustrated women are because they're not able to relate to financial advice or content. They feel like their needs are unmet, etc. So absolutely, this is a global problem, and we're excited to solve for India first, and then at the right time be able to take our solutions and insights to solve in other parts of the globe as well.
Even though you did mention that it's a global concern and that this is a huge market that is not being catered to, if you look at specifically the Indian context, and let's just ask this as a final question, we do have a massive digital divide. I mean, there is a huge section of the population, especially housewives, who don't have access to something as basic as a mobile phone. Their financial knowledge is zero because their connection to the internet is at most, again, negligible. So is there a long term strategy for your platform where maybe you address these concerns in the future? Is there something in the plans?
So we actually haven't thought that far yet. I think the rate at which digital adoption is going in our country, I don't know if that will necessarily be a problem, a few years into the future. Of course, women have been also, again, lack of access to the internet, etc. But even with that, we're seeing trends that are getting more women online, are enabling them to, lead more independent lives just because of access to, better information and things like that. I think digital is the only way to be able to get to that massive scale and distribution that we will need to get to solve this. But to be very candid, I don't think we've thought about solutions like that. But if it is something we see, and you're right, there could be a massive need there as well. We will look into what is really needed to solve these problems at that level as well.
So, thank you. I think this has been a very insightful conversation.